Welcome to Midlife Matters. I'm Marie, and each week I'm joined by my friends Julie and Mindy to talk about all the topics keeping women in the middle years up at night. Today we're talking about TMI. We're all overloaded with this, and we need a break from the noise and anxiety too much information creates. Join us as we discuss where and when to draw the line, as well as who and what to listen to. Listeners, today we're talking about TMI. We're all overloaded with this, and we need a break from the noise and anxiety too much information creates. TMI can become debilitating. Where and when do we draw the line? How do we decide who we listen to and who we don't? So many decisions with way too much information available. And Julie and Mindy, I know that you guys feel this way, and so do I, and I can't wait to talk about this with you.
This is going to be good and interesting too, because there's so much information. I'm curious what we're going to end up landing on in our conversations today.
Yeah, I started getting a little anxious just doing the research. Like, I'm afraid to search for anything on my phone because I don't want more of that.
Oh,
right?
That's true. Well, let's talk a little bit about food-related items, things that we have too much information on, because I feel like that's one of the biggest things that you can start to feel anxious about, because we all have to eat. And it seems like there's almost nothing that you can eat nowadays where there's not someone telling you that that's bad for you, going to cause cancer, kill you, watch out. It's ruining my appetite.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of sensationalized health claims, about common foods that cause cancer. And they always, the headline is always, these 5 foods should never be consumed. And you might be surprised what made the list. And they usually have like a banana on the front cover, of the front picture. And then it's not a banana, One I just saw last night was 5 deadly foods you should avoid because they're poisonous and could be deadly. And the picture shows them browning ground beef. Well, when you click on it, the first one is puffer fish. Okay. The second one is live octopus. And then the other 3 I couldn't even pronounce. Like they would.
Okay.
But they bait you with the ground beef,
Yeah.
Like, I brown ground beef, so this must be something I need to watch,
Yes.
One thing I thought was kind of sad was it was a meme and it was meant to be humorous. I get that. But I just think this is the way younger people are thinking now. The caption read, "When you finally realize everything at the grocery store was designed to slowly kill you." And it had a grown man like crying, and it was probably from some movie clip that I'm not familiar with.
Right.
But it was meant to be humorous, but I think it's conveying a message that a lot of people feel, kind of a hopelessness, That doesn't lead you to anything good, like, well, there's nothing I can do. It's hopeless. I just thought,
Yeah, and like I said before, you have to eat. So that means you have to pick one of these poisons, according to that meme.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, so one of the good aspects of too much information is any type of diet or recipe you're looking for, you can find it. All right. So we're like, okay, great. I love having access to easy meals. I want to eat the Mediterranean diet. What does that look like? And you can easily Google that. But then things start popping up. And one of the comical things that popped up, well, it's not comical when you really think about it, is like, I had an article pop up about different bugs that are in common foods that we eat. And I thought, okay. And this is when we started talking about it. I was like, our parents did not know about the bugs in our food, or maybe our grandparents did. And they would even say, yes, I know we're consuming certain bugs, but that's healthy for your diet. I just feel like through the years, the information has gotten to be so much that I'm like, I wish my eyes never saw that there's so many maggots per every berry, and I'm just like, why would you do that? Like, you have scarred me, and I'm trying to eat healthy here,
And what is the alternative they're offering? Are they saying like, don't eat berries, wash them better? Like, if the maggots were visible, we would get rid of them. So what are they proposing?
Yeah. Did you see the one about the spiders in the cranberry bogs? The wolf spiders?
Oh.
And they showed a man like coming out of the cranberry bog, because coming out of the cranberry bog, because like it's like waist deep water, and they're harvesting the cranberries, and they're covered in these wolf spiders. And I think they get paid a lot of money for that job because of it. Like they're not harmful, but who could tolerate that?
Okay,
so my kids were talking about that.
Those are
apparently
huge.
That was going around. Yeah, like that was a thing to show everyone, was these spiders.
I mean, if that was in my cranberries, I feel like I would notice them.
Right. It's like, why do I need to know this?
Because, I mean, the FDA has rules for how much bugs are allowed to be in certain items for it to be sold. I mean, they literally have rules for that. And so we have to acknowledge that this has always been. It's just the fact that now we know about it. And that's the hard part to come to the realization, is like a ketchup bottle that could have something in it, a cereal box that could have something in it, and like I was happily oblivious when I was younger.
And I want to continue to be oblivious, because there's really not a lot I can do about this stuff. I'm not going to grow all my own food, so I have to buy food. And so I can't get into the factory making process and ensure there's no bugs. Like I'd rather just live without knowing.
Yes, I just don't want to know.
And just be vigilant and look for those floating spiders in your cereal.
Seriously. Wash your fruit when it comes in the door.
Yeah. One thing that I read a couple weeks ago, and this really caught my attention because it bothered me, because I do this. It was the most dangerous food to reheat is, what do you think it is? Most people thought it was chicken or fish. Mm-hmm. And apparently it's rice. And I thought, and there's the thing called fried rice syndrome. And people get very sick. And I thought, I have forever kept Chinese food in my fridge for at least a week with the rice. And rice is so easy to reheat. Like, I just don't get it. But apparently rice and pasta can be dangerous to reheat. I don't know if I even believe it.
Why, though? Did it say why it's dangerous?
It's a certain bacteria that can grow. But, it's like, are you leaving it out, before you put it in the fridge?
Would kill the bacteria.
Yeah. And I hate that, because it's like, we've talked about this before, like, then that information kind of becomes a burden. Like, now that I know it, what am I going to do about that? Because I want to be responsible and not ignore warnings. But I don't know.
You're not going to order enough Chinese food to have stuff for leftovers the next day, if you know that.
I know. And you always have rice left over. That's what they give you the most of.
Okay, well, this was a funny one that I woke up to this morning. This guy, he is called Clean Kitchen Nutrition. Sounds innocuous enough. And I opened this up because I was, thought, oh, maybe this is something for the podcast. So he's standing in Costco being filmed, and he's like, do not buy these K-cups. K-cups, the plastic is seeping into your coffee. It is going to kill you. He goes, there's been no studies done on K-cups, but we all know there's been plenty of studies done on how heated plastic leaches plastic into your food. Okay, so he's basically scaring everybody about the K-cups. And so I just laughed at some of the comments. This one was funny. I'm just going to put coffee beans and hot water in my mouth and chew it. No studies on this specifically, yet making a statement is factual. Okay. Okay. Someone else said, I heard the same about coffee filters and tea bags. So now basically anything that we eat. Then this person wrote, 100% garbage. If you are truly worried about microplastics, stop wearing clothes. Clothing is the top source for shedding such things.
Yeah.
Who knew? Meanwhile, someone else put that the guy's wearing polyester, which is supposed to not be good for you either. Somebody actually said, factually incorrect. I worked for a company that molded these cups. These are high-density polymers, PBA-free. The temperature required to melt them was around 650 degrees Fahrenheit. These coffee machines only reach 190. So no, K-cups are not ruining your life, but regurgitating idiots of your statue are ruining people's lives.
Those comments, those are golden.
Well, yeah, there's so much misinformation. Like, he's taking something that may be true from another situation and applying it to everything that plastic touches.
Right.
And, like, there's so many other factors, like in context, like, and who is this guy? I just think there's a lot of exaggerated threats, a lot of like very dramatic language, and it's all just targeted to incite fear. I guess that's the only way, like, that social media can keep people there is to like give them something to talk about.
Yeah. Well, It was so funny because then I clicked on his name and went to his account, Mindy, and you're going to get a kick out of this because the very next video was the truth about the Chick-fil-A sandwich.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, people are not giving up their Chick-fil-A.
If you think that you're going to Chick-fil-A and eating a regular chicken sandwich and that's, somehow healthy for you, like that is not a health food. So your expectations are already misplaced.
Right.
Okay, I love those comments though. And I feel like this is the pendulum starting to swing. That so much information is out there. And this is for all the other categories we're going to talk about. The people in the comments, they're starting to question. We are all starting to question the information that's given to us. Whereas all this information has been dumped on us. And so I kind of like that you read those comments because people are like, wait a minute, don't just believe everything that you hear or see.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I just have to share one more because it is going in your body all the time. And again, Mindy, the headline for this one was drink ice water, get dementia. Have you seen that one? So basically, I clicked on it and it said that it's not even like they're offering a good alternative. There are no refrigerator filters, for your ice maker or for your water that you could buy. So basically, every filter is doing this. Somehow, when you run it through, it is leaching this kind of mold that had a very technical name into your water that then gets into your brain. And as you drink water, it's causing dementia. Now, there's so many problem and tangent areas you could go off on that. But the headline, it's just designed to make you click. Drink water, get dementia. I mean, no one wants dementia and we all drink water. So we have to find out what is the connection here.
Oh my goodness.
I read there's actually a thing now called headline anxiety.
Oh, okay. I mean, we can see why, right? Yeah. Literally, like we'd have to sit around naked, not eating or drinking anything. I mean, and then you're sitting on the wrong thing. Like, what are you supposed to do?
One thing I will say, my father-in-law was really like the age of a grandfather. He was, on the older side, especially for his generation when Steve was born. So he was always older. And I remember Steve and I used to not really take him seriously when he said this kind of thing, but I respect it now. I mean, he ate eggs and bacon every single morning of his life and drank coffee all day long. And I'm not saying that that's the best diet, but when Steve, as a health nut who ran in college and all that, would kind of come down on him about it and say, Dad, why I do that? Oh, I've lived through eggs were good. Eggs were bad. Eggs were, and he would just go through like all the phases that he'd already lived through. And that's kind of how I feel at this point in my life. When my kids come to me with like, oh, did you hear this is bad? You know what? They said that we were going to die of an ice age when I was in middle school. Then we're going to burn up when I'm in high school. Then the world's going to explode when I'm in college. Like after you've heard all this stuff over and over again, whether it's food or environment or whatever, and it doesn't happen, you're like, I'm not really that worried.
Yeah, we've all lived through the butter margarine phase, like what was good and bad. And so my son, he tries to eat fairly healthy and he was like, Mom, eggs and butter are good right now. So that's what I'm going with.
I'm in right now.
Yeah.
I mean, eggs and butter, those have probably been the biggest ones. Well, even milk, all while I was growing up. Milk does the body good. Now no one wants to drink milk. Like it's just in and out all the time. And you cannot keep up. Bread was good. It was, what we all needed. Then bread is bad. No one needs bread. No one should drink bread. It's the enemy. Like you just cannot keep up with all the information.
Well, and like if milk is bad and everybody's gone to almond milk or whatever, and I enjoy almond milk, but you think about it, that's a heavily concentrated dose of almonds. Like what's on those almonds? Like we don't really know what they're going to say in 20 years about almond milk, so maybe you shouldn't, maybe the whole moderation thing is really a true.
Yeah, I would say this is a major like difficulty for anyone that is trying to start a health journey. is how to eat. And so no matter what trainer you hire or what nutrition coach you have, everyone has their own way of doing things. And until we realize that everybody's microbiome is different and there would probably be a different way of eating for what makes you feel good and function well. Like, I think health is very individualized, but for the person that goes online and is like, I want to eat healthy. Okay, just type in eat healthy and see all the variety of things that come up. Carbs are bad, or beef is bad, or, like you should be vegan, or you should, there's so many different ways to eat or even times to eat. People can be nutty even about intermittent fasting. I do love it, but I have found a way that it works for me. What works for me is not going to work for you. And so I think that anytime you group people together and say, none of you should drink milk, like, that's wrong. And I don't know where that falls, but it's just real hard. There's a lot of decisions we have to make, even with trying to be healthy.
Yeah. And I thought this was funny because the emphasis is so much on plastics these days.
Yeah.
Well, now they're coming down on aluminum foil.
What?
And apparently it leaches into your foods. And if you mix it with other metals, like lining a stainless steel pan or whatever, that you are walking around. This woman said you are walking around with double the amount of aluminum in your body, from the normal level.
Oh, no.
And I was like, that is just not true. I mean,
I have heard people against aluminum, I feel like, for a long time.
Well, I know aluminum and deodorant was a thing.
Right. No, but even aluminum foil, like, I switched to parchment paper years ago because of the warnings about aluminum foil. Now, Steve will use it on the grill, but I bet I buy aluminum foil like every 2 years, and I buy parchment paper regularly. Now, I don't even know if the aluminum foil was true, but that was an easy enough switch for me that I just went ahead and did it.
I just think about aluminum foil's been around for so long, and that we replaced it with plastics, which everybody's hating, and so I would feel much safer probably with foil than I would plastic, but.
Is parchment paper flat plastic?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think it's paper with a wax.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Which is a petroleum product. So,
there's just nothing. But I don't want to scrub every pan. I got to put something.
Oh, yeah.
down.
I use that a lot. Yeah, I use that a lot. But there's certain things that just call for foil,
Oh, for sure. If you want it to be crispy.
That's right.
And firm up better, you really have to use the aluminum foil.
Well, the main reason I use it is just to cover a dish that I'm going to heat in the oven because I can't put plastic on it, but I want it covered.
Oh, I
see. I just
it.
don't think that's really,
Definitely aluminum foil is more controversial than you would think. And like you said, Julie, it's been around forever. Well, let's segue into health related. I was just thinking about health related things around the house. So I mentioned these to Julie and Mindy before, but I love my dishwasher. I've talked about my dishwasher so many times, and it calls for a certain type of dishwasher pod. And I love putting that thing in there and closing the door and knowing that absolutely everything is going to come clean. And now they're coming down on my dishwasher pods. And now when I unload my dishwasher, I don't have that wonderful feeling. I have the feeling of like, is it coated in plastic that's killing me? I don't know.
I thought it was about that the plastic was gunking up your pipes. That's what I had heard.
I have seen both, actually. I've seen both, that if, that you could be harming your pipes or whatever. On the plastic issue, though, I mean, that's along with if we had, you remember Tupperware parties? You guys. My grandparents would always save things in the old like parquet dish, and you'd reheat it in that. And then we had Tupperware, and you would keep your food in that and reheat it in the trusty microwave. So if you're putting your plastic dish in the microwave, I mean, I don't know how we're not all dead right now, because we've got the plastic pods, we've got the Tupperware dishes, and we're using microwaves. So
yeah.
Well, I do have a mix of the pods. I did just buy a whole Costco load of the pods that are in the plastic because they were so much cheaper. But I also have the ones that are just wrapped in foil. So when you pop those out, there's no plastic on them.
Can you use those with the Bosch dishwasher?
Yeah, it's still like a little block with a little bead in the middle, but you just pop it out.
Made by Finish?
I thought so, but I don't necessarily buy the brand that they say to buy. But of course, it's in foil, so you'd have to touch some foil too.
Oh no. There's the metals and the plastics.
I know.
One thing that I did think about and I read about and I did make a change was a long time ago, I had the Keurig coffee pot.
Mm-hmm.
And it always bothered me that water stayed in the tank and therefore the tubing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have one of those backpacks. It's called a Camelback, where you can carry water on your back and has a little tube that you can drink out of while your water's in your backpack. And it always made me nervous because you have to get those really clean, the tube.
Yeah.
And you have to let it dry. That's the key, is to let it dry, because water gets mold in it, mildew.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought, why is that not happening inside my coffee pot? And then I did read that was the danger. So that was something I actually acted on. I just got rid of the Keurig. I just couldn't think about that anymore. Like what could be growing in that water?
Yes. I've had to make a choice to filter through the information when it comes to coffee, because once you go down that rabbit hole, like everything else, there's no coming back feeling healthy about whatever you're doing. Because even like reading about the mold that's in coffee, like that was a thing I went down. So then looking at organic, well, then you're talking about bugs. Like there's like no good way to enjoy your coffee, I feel like, safely. And so that is a struggle there. And so be strong and drink good coffee, and good luck, because it's hard to enjoy that cup of coffee once you get this information in your mind.
Yeah, because I guess I drink a lot of coffee and I look at a lot of coffee shops and stuff. So I get a lot of ads that say coffee is the most chemically laced thing that we consume. And I guess it's advertising some kind of organic coffee or non-coffee drink that's similar to coffee. I don't know, but I just have to go on by that. I was like, yeah, they've been drinking coffee for a long time. And I know how we grow it has probably changed, but I just have to go with the stuff that, that says that it's good, and I just have to trust it.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about something else that's household related that really did make me feel anxious. And I really did try to do something about it, but it seemed overwhelming. The EMF wireless radiation. Okay. So there are some, and this has been for a while, like some people that recommend like you just turn off your router at night so that, you're not leaking that into the rooms, the air. Like you shouldn't have your router in your bedroom, things like that. Like with the Apple AirPods that are not wired, like the wireless, like I got rid of mine because I couldn't stand thinking about the EMF radiation. It was, I just went to the corded ones. It said that like your TV in your bedroom, if it's a smart TV, is constantly searching for Wi-Fi, even when you're sleeping and even when it's off. So now I unplug it at night. I mean, it really did kind of send me down a black hole. Now, I only shut off the router one time because the next morning, getting at everything all booted back up, the kids were enraged.
Oh, yeah.
But, I don't know. Like, have you guys ever heard of this EMF, and do you get concerned about it?
No, I feel like I should have gone, nah, as you were talking. So I couldn't hear that because that is like way beyond anything I would ever do. So I'm just I'm just choosing to ignore that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because everywhere we go, there's Wi-Fi. I mean, everywhere we go.
I know.
And it's not in my bedroom. So
that is something I've chosen to not be worried about. I think about our phones. I have thought about that, wearing it on your body. Sticking it in your bra or sticking it, in the front of your pants. I'm serious. Like the phone is a thing that I have thought about. I'm aware of that, and maybe I care about that. So I'm like, mindful to not have it like on my body
or sleeping with it under your pillow or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I do try to give some distance from the phone. Also, one thing that I do care about is I don't stand in front of the microwave. I don't even know what's happening. I just think, whoa, hide from the microwaves,
I think that started when I was pregnant and then just carried forward.
Yes. Okay, but we've talked about remodeling our kitchen, and I had been wanting a gas stove because, it's so much better to heat up your food on a gas stove. But then, oh my goodness, the gas stove is actually really bad to be in your house.
I read that too, Mindy.
Ventilated enough. And I thought, What?
I know. I had to close my eyes to that because now I have a gas fireplace and a gas stove. And I thought, I just can't. But I know some people that won't have a gas fireplace. So
Do you know how long gas stoves have been around, though?
Oh, I know, Julie. But these are we're talking about TMI here. We're not saying that we believe everything. We're saying that it amps up anxiety.
Right. It is affecting
Julie's taking deep breaths. No, I was like, do I really care about that? Would I still ask for a gas stove when we go to remodel our kitchen? I had to question myself. I'm like, I never thought about this before, but I do miss cooking over a gas stove.
Yeah. I want to live in ignorance on some things.
Yeah.
Even the microwave. I know a friend who has not had a microwave in, I'll say, 10 years. Like she doesn't even have one in her house. And at first that seemed super radical to me, especially like when I had all the kids at home. But now that it's just Steve and I could see how I could get away without a microwave. And honestly, I feel kind of guilty microwaving my food now. And so like I've been getting out a saucepan and warming it or putting it in the oven if I can.
Yeah. Now we have access to these fabulous little appliances called air fryers. You have an air roaster, an air baker, and there's small ovens that heat up quickly. And so I feel like it's an easy replacement. If you're going that route, there are other appliances that you can buy now that heat up almost as fast. And so, and honestly, the food does taste better if you're, going that route. But one change that we just felt good making, something we could do, was changing out our plastic Tupperware dishes, and we bought all glass. And so
I did that too.
Somehow I sleep better at night with the glass dishes. I'm like, way to go, Silmans. Like we made a turn for the healthy.
The thing is, though, is when you buy the glass, they still give you a plastic top.
Plastic lid. Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't really touch the food most of the time, but it's so odd because in order to get a good seal, you still need the plastic top.
Just don't.
It's not touching anything.
No,
I know. And I still use it because it's not touching anything. But I'm just saying, but yes, like I feel guilty now. But yet, am I willing to give up Ziploc bags? No. And they're plastic. So like, it's one of those things. Yeah, I can do something about the Tupperware. They haven't come out with glass bags. I sometimes we need to take snacks in the car. I don't know what else we're supposed to do.
Glass bags.
Well, let me ask you. Okay, so there's a lot of information, bad information, about the plastic water bottles.
Oh, yeah, I don't use those, no.
This is one thing I don't care about until I'm going to decide later to care about it.
You'll care about it at some point.
It's too easy to have a plastic water bottle and to be able to throw it away. And I'm like, okay, it's terrible for the environment, right? You see the environmental route in the plastic water bottles. And don't leave it in your car to let it heat up, because that's when the plastic seeps into the water.
Terrible.
Which I still do, because I'm a nut about water and I can't even imagine going without water or perceiving that I wouldn't have 4 extra bottles in my car at any given time.
Yeah.
One day I'm going to care about this.
Yeah.
But we're probably going to get people rated like, Mindy, what are you doing?
Well,
I'll buy a case of throwaway water bottles once a week.
I do still buy those, but now they last forever because I don't have so many kids using them. But yeah, I have gotten to the point where I feel guilty about plastic water bottles. But you know what? I can care about that at this point in my life. I couldn't care about that when I was having to pack water for 7 people on every trip. Like, no, I'm sorry. I just need like the 44 pack at Costco. But if it's just me, I can put it in my stainless steel water bottle. You know what I'm saying?
If it's other people, I can give them plastic.
I can't care about. I cannot keep up with 7 people's water bottles and then what are you going to wash all those every night? Like that's just not practical.
No, okay.
If I knew it was killing you, that I would change. This is just a nebulous thought that I think, okay, I could do something about it.
I have prioritized a couple of other things over the plastic for the environment and over the plastic in the water. I've prioritized the ease of it because my kids went through stages of losing everything that I sent to school with them. I'm like, I can't afford that. And then I thought, well, if they never put it in the dishwasher to wash it, they're drinking moldy water out of that nasty cup that they keep reusing.
For sure.
Yes. And also they wouldn't drink water if it wasn't readily available. And I'm like, I don't want my kids to be dehydrated. I feel like it's a step above.
Dehydrated.
I'm worried about this.
The answer is to quit drinking water, guys.
Right. You need to stay hydrated. And when I buy the bottled water, it's purified. Okay. I used to happily drink water out of a hose growing up when I was playing outside. It's a lot better than the hose, I think.
I would probably argue that it's actually not, but what can we do at this point?
Don't look up how bad the water is in your hose. And oh my goodness.
No, it's insane. It's insane the amount of stuff that you would have to worry about. And you do sometimes just have to compromise.
Well, I do have a funny story about plastic. I'm walking out of Publix in Nashville with 4 gallons of milk in plastic bags. And like I'm huffing out. Mm-hmm. A lady is passing by me, enraged, yells at me over using plastic. I'm not kidding. Yells at me for using plastic bags. I see her forget something. I am like close to tears. I'm so upset. She turns around and then she goes and gets in her Hummer.
Oh,
and I'm like, really?
Yeah. And I just thought of this. I've never made this connection. All our milk comes in plastic jugs.
Yes. That's what I thought you were going to make a point about.
No.
Yeah.
See the rabbit trail?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. I mean,
all the milk.
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
This is related to plastic water bottles, but it's also just a fear-mongering thing. Like a lady at our church posted something just yesterday on Facebook that said, "Warning, kids are doing this these days. If you see a plastic water bottle with a lid and you think it's litter, do not pick it up. It has a little bit of water, a little bit of Drano, and a piece of aluminum foil," which is funny that we just talked about. Like those are all apparently the worst things on the planet. And when you just jostle it a little bit, it causes an explosion and it blows up in your face and burns you. And I just thought,
wow.
I'd almost like to do a little experiment and just see it. Oh my gosh. So the key is don't pick up water bottles on the side of the road that have the lids on.
Yeah.
That have that.
I don't know how many times you do that, but
before we leave the household, I think we need to talk about cleaners because they seriously provide so much anxiety. I am sorry, but the Tilex mold and mildew remover is the only thing that is going to get out that spot of mildew in my shower. I don't care how many times you tell me Dawn dish soap and vinegar. It does not remove mold. Okay. So like there are occasions when we need toxic cleaners. You know, toilet bowl cleaner, I feel guilty every time I use it, but you need it. Like, I don't know. It just looks toxic. I mean, I hold the toilet bowl cleaner like, I think this is straight poison, I am sure. And yet, you know, sometimes I'll try to just spray a little bathroom cleaner in there and then use a toilet brush. It does not clean the way toilet bowl cleaner does. Like, we need some of these toxic chemicals.
Well, I just had a towel problem in my shower where it was cracking around the drain and called somebody out, called the guy that like put in our old bathroom. And he was very reassuring, but he goes, "What do you clean this with?" And I said, "Oh, Clorox, bleach." And he said, "Well, that's a problem." And he wasn't talking about my health at all. He said it just breaks down the grout. Right. And so I think I am going to make a change. He told me how to get it all clean with a grout cleaner, and I'm going to seal it. And I'm just going to stay on top of that because he said sealing the corners will keep the mold out. You just got to stay on top of it and then not use the harsh chemicals to clean. So I feel like I would make a change more based on that than it's harming me. You know, that it's destroying my shower and I want it to last. So I'm willing to try something different for that reason.
It's so funny because my college son's bathroom should be condemned. And so I sent him some cleaning supplies for his birthday, along with the sheets. And I said to him, spray this, the Clorox mold and mildew or the Tilex or whatever it is. I said, spray this before you go to work in the morning. Run the bathroom fan. Because you can't spray that stuff before you go to bed and then sleep in the room right off the bathroom. Like, it's killing you because you can smell it all over the house. But sometimes your bathroom is so condemned that you've got to get in there with something bad.
I totally agree. I think I used the words with one of my sons, or probably multiple. All right, the first thing you got to do is just spray everything, the entire bathroom with Clorox. Walk away, come back, rinse it all off, and then start cleaning.
Yes.
Yeah. Because the balance here is that poop and mold are toxic as well. So
yes.
Pick your poison,
I know, that's the thing. When I go to clean my house, and through the years, I've just been so proud of myself for cleaning the house.
Right.
And I feel like I have accomplished something if it smells like I have killed everything. Mm-hmm. So there's something really wonderful about smelling bleach, Windex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like nothing could survive this.
Yes. Right. I'm like, I got it all.
All right. Well, I want to segue into healthy lifestyle. And I just have to share. Okay, first of all, there's so many reels out there. I already have a problem sleeping. When I see a reel that says that you will die of 6 different things if you do not get more than 6 hours of sleep at night, that is so stressful. That makes me actually sleep less, because now I'm laying in bed thinking of all the things I'm going to die for because I can never sleep. So that's terrible. But I saw this one that was just so ridiculous that I had to mention it. Okay, they said basically that you need to sleep in a totally blacked out room. Like, I already have blackout curtains, but this means this is like a black box. You need to sleep in a black box because there is a 68% increase in depression from the amount of light that comes in around your curtains from street lights. So black out your windows. Julie, they said put up aluminum foil. Can you imagine how that would go over with the HOA? Yes, put up aluminum foil. Okay, it says, when you open your eyes, you should see nothing.
Sounds scary.
And he said, and you won't even believe how great this is. I thought, it's like falling into the pit of hell when you try to go to the bathroom without waking up your spouse or the dog. I mean, you can't see, see one thing.
I've broken a toe.
Yeah.
And then he said, if you have any LED lights in your room, like smoke detector or TV or alarm clock, anything, you have to put black electrical tape over it. I mean, you can have no lights. And I was just wondering, how do you know that the depression was from the street lights? Like, they said it was like 800 person randomized study. How are you coming up with streetlights? Like, they all have different life circumstances. Wouldn't anything else in their life be more important to them and possibly be causing depression than streetlights? Like, I don't even understand.
Oh, your husband died, or you're sleeping with the porch light on. Now,
which we're going with the lights.
So weird. But you guys, this was a real Instagram reel that I saw. This was a true Instagram reel that you need to sleep in a black box.
Oh my goodness.
I have seen that as a travel hack for people with young children that like blackout curtains. She actually put the foil on the window because it just clings to it. It's very temporary, like if you were in a hotel or whatever. But Marie, when you put full on your windows here in West Haven, I want to see how that works out.
Listen, our HOA too, I'm sure yours would be like, no,
we're not having
not happening. Whatever happened to your circadian rhythm and, go like living with the light and, going to sleep with the moon. I mean,
no, but this was the light from street lamps. So they're differentiating. Like, I guess the moon, I guess they can get right down to the fact that you're not depressed because of the moon. You are depressed because of the street lamps.
You're depressed because you have a chemical imbalance and you're like trying to detect the amount of light coming from your smoke detector. I mean, I really have broken a toe badly by walking through the dark in my bedroom. You guys take care of yourselves out there.
Or I trip over my dog.
Can you imagine?
Yeah. No thanks.
Yeah, when I thought about healthcare, my mind did not go there because I don't see all these reels that you guys are seeing. But
Marie gets some good ones.
But the thing that really, really chaps me is the whole pharmaceutical companies advertising directly to consumers. And I guess maybe because I'm a pharmacist, I don't know. But I know so many drug names. Like I can sing all the songs, Dupixent, Otezla, Skyrizi, and Tremfya. And that's all just to treat your skin. Like, what about your atrial fib, your HIV, your toe fungus, and all the cancers that you have? Like, why are they advertising chemotherapy
Oh.
to a consumer, and I kind of did a little deep dive into that. And they said that it actually enables them to charge more for the drugs because it creates a desire for a brand. It creates a desire and then everybody wants it. So the prices go up.
Oh, are you on this? Ooh, I'm on this too.
Yeah, it's really sick, really sick. So I just hate all the drug commercials. And apparently it's kind of an American thing. Like they know Americans want a quick fix for things,
Yeah.
So I just don't like that. It causes anxiety. Like, do you have this symptom? Do you have this? Do you have this? Well, like if you have 2 or the 3, are you going to call your doctor? And it might be for a condition that you don't even have. It just seems like it creates a lot of unnecessary anxiety.
There's a lot of TMI with any commercials. Now we do a lot of streaming, but you still get, you can watch it free with ads. Well, the ads, count how many pharmaceutical ads there are being, being targeted. And then even like the amount of things that are allowed on TV, conditions and stuff like that, like that's TMI to me, when
I have seen some TMI commercials.
I'm just like, oh my goodness, seriously, the pharmaceutical commercials are really like R-rated.
Yes, a lot of them are. Yeah, I'm like, okay, now I'm uncomfortable sitting next to my kids.
You're like, really?
Yeah. What about the healthy lifestyle anxieties, Mindy? I feel like you probably have some of these.
Well, I mean, the healthy lifestyle anxiety, you mentioned clothes earlier. That was something that I thought about, somebody looking to try to get into a healthy lifestyle. I mean, first of all, once you tackle the food and what you're going to do and then exercises, there's all different ways to exercise that are good for you and exercises that are bad for you. And depending on who you listen to, you could really be harming yourself or harming your joints. You should run. Oh, wait, no, you shouldn't run because you're going to kill your knees by age 40. Or you should do HIIT workouts to really increase your heart rate. Oh, but no. And some people that raises cortisol levels, and that's actually unhealthy for you and could cause you to gain weight if you're doing a HIIT workout. Certain brands that you wear could be harmful to your workout, to when you sweat, or it doesn't let you sweat enough. And then you talk about deodorant. We've talked about, about what deodorants people wear. I mean, and then you've got this Lumi thing going on TV about, putting Lumi all over your women's bodies. It's not just for your armpits.
But on the other hand, that just came out. That's a new thing. And it works by killing off bacteria. And I thought your skin bacteria that is useful as well.
Right.
What overgrowth are we going to cause?
Yes.
I've never heard anything about clothing like being bad for you. But this one I just saw the other day, and this came from somebody on Instagram who show off their Amazon hauls, like they're showing clothes that they get. And they actually said this, and I thought I did not need to hear this right before a trip, but they were like, on an airplane, you should always make sure that you wear natural fibers. And I thought, oh, that makes sense. So I kind of listened to see that they were going to tell me it was about comfort, maybe perspiration or ease of the fabric. No, you don't want to wear synthetic fibers because they will melt to your skin in a fire.
You're probably going to die if there's a fire anyway.
And I thought, if there's a fire on that little tube at 40,000 feet, I am not going to be making it.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
I just thought, okay, that is probably factually true.
Right.
Like that's the reason kids' pajamas have to be certified a certain fiber and all that.
Yeah.
But, that's just not going to play out for me.
Wow.
But that is just such a bizarre...
You've got bigger problems.
Yes, that is such a bizarre thing to hear, right before I'm going to fly.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And that's so funny. Speaking of things that have gone in and out of favor in our lifetime. So when we grew up, you had to have flame retardant pajamas. I don't think that today's kids sleep with flame retardant pajamas because then they discovered, or they've decided, I don't know which, that the flame retardant process is worse for you than if you just melted the clothing to your skin. So I don't even know that they make flame retardant pajamas anymore.
I think they're just cotton and they're tight fitting. They're not loose.
Yes, but they're not treated like all of ours were, and who knows, flame retardant might come back into fashion. I don't know.
Right. And we haven't even talked about like laundry and your hamper and what your hamper's made of and the process that you should have of having a clean hamper versus using the same laundry basket for your dirty clothes as your clean clothes, right? We're all just trying to do laundry. And I'm just like, okay, his sweaty shorts just sat in that nasty hamper. And now we're putting the clean clothes back in it. So every once in a while, I think about this and I will clean out, the plastic hamper that we use.
Right.
Because I think, well, the cloth ones, I mean, can you get those clean? I don't know. Like this is a whole thing with your laundry.
I spray it with Lysol.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't use the same basket for clean and dirty, but you know who does? My kids.
All the
kids.
I
don't even say anything about it. They're at college. There's bigger things to worry about. I used the same one when I was in college too. Like, it's not going to kill you. I mean, as an adult, because it's easy enough for me to have two, I do. Yep. But it's so funny. Like when it comes to my kids, I'm like, you know what? They don't want to. They're going to bring it home and then they're going to take it back to school in the exact same container. I just can't stress about that. I do think about it as I'm putting it back in
there.
Not
harmful.
But I think, well, they're okay with it, so I'm not going to say anything.
Isn't it a luxury to be able to make choices like this? Like, I feel like we live such luxurious lifestyles that we can have multiple hampers and different clothes and the nice water bottle. And you know what I mean? Like all the things we're talking through are really signs of luxury.
That we're not washing our clothes in a river.
Yeah. And things that we wouldn't have given thoughts about at other points in our life because you can't worry about this stuff all the time. I think that's one of the good parts, and I hope a takeaway from this podcast for people is that you have to pick and choose what you're going to follow. And what is your threshold? Like when you're willing to listen to something and when you're not.
Well, I wanted to end with kind of where I am spiritually. And I know this was supposed to be a lighthearted, humorous topic, but I'm just in a different place right now. So this kind of hit me at a different place. When you're in grief, you're constantly worried about what else might happen to you. So I have to stay away from this kind of stuff. Like I didn't need to hear that clothes could melt to my skin on an airplane or that my dishwasher pods are dangerous or, to me, like those just don't seem important right now. And we actually talked about this in Grief Share last night. Like the topic was feeling overwhelmed and afraid. And it was about different reasons. But these things all just kind of can come crashing in and seem like too much. And they reminded us of just Philippians 4:6, like don't be anxious about anything, but in everything present your requests to God. And then the next verse is, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds. And I've been kind of going through scripture, like what are God's promises to me? Because I think a lot of his promises to me are things I've thought he promised me a lot more than he actually has, like very specifics about my circumstances and the outcomes. And there's a promise right there. If you're not anxious and you give everything to God in prayer, then he promises that peace. So like, why am I not guarding my heart? Why am I subjecting myself to all this information and then expecting peace from, you know what I mean? I can't expect peace when I let my mind be bombarded with all of this. So I've just kind of dialed it back again, like where I'm not, I got on social media like to research this, but I'm really trying to just limit what comes in because right now my threshold is pretty low. Because I'm already thinking about the what ifs and the what about. And then the very next verse is whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, pure, lovely, admirable. Think on these things. So God tells us what to think about and what not to think about. And so, I know that verse. I've had it memorized since I was 7 or 8. And it's easy to think that's just a platitude, but it's true. And it's, it's foolish of us to not take it seriously.
Yeah.
So that's just where I am.
I really appreciate you being honest about that, Julie, because that's where so many of us are at different seasons in life. There are times where you're going to have more fear and anxiety depending on your life circumstances. And I've had those seasons where just a little bit of information can send me over the edge. And then there's times where, I could deal with a lot and laugh it off and it not affect me. But anytime I notice a lack of peace or a lack of rest, anytime I notice just an abundance of information is actually affecting me physically, and my stomach's hurting, I can't sleep at night, I can't seem to relax or even take a breath. Those are signs, physical signs to me, that things are affecting me in a way that are harmful. And so as so much information comes in, we have to know how to turn it off or how to quiet the things that are coming into our ears, or the turn off the things that our eyes are seeing. And so sometimes we have to make physical boundaries for ourselves to protect the peace and the rest. And I appreciate the verses that you used. One of the reasons I go for a gratitude walk is, first of all, to get outside and to not have any noise going on. I have to quiet my surroundings physically so that I can quiet the inside of my soul. And I really do try to practice there's a verse in Psalms that I recite a lot to myself. It's, "Be at rest once more, O my soul, the Lord has been good to you." It is such a simple verse. And I will repeat that to myself, and I have to say it out loud to myself so that I can kind of quiet the fears and anxieties that are coming at me all the time, because they're all coming at us all the time. And I then try to practice gratitude. And by speaking gratitude and by speaking the things the Lord has done and how he's brought me through situations, how his character never changes. So even if the world is crashing down, God does not change. So we can be at rest once more, oh my soul, the Lord has been good to you, and recount those ways. And so to balance the anxiety, I have to add in the gratitude, if that makes sense. I have to replace it with something.
Yeah, that's a great verse. I also read in my devotional this morning, and I just think it's neat how God's messages are so timely. Like it was talking about how we reflect God, in our lives. And it says a troubled surface of a lake will not reflect an object. When there's ripples, you don't see the reflection. It's only when it's smooth and calm. And our lives must be quiet and restful if we're going to see God. And it said there's hardly ever a complete silence in the soul. God is whispering to us incessantly. But whenever the sounds of the world die out in the soul or sink low, then we hear the whispering of God. He's always whispering, only we do not hear because of the noise. And I just thought it's time for me to quiet some of this noise because it just, and I just have to trust if God's going to lead me to make a change somewhere, then I just, I'll sense that and make a change. But it just starts to feel hopeless when you feel like you can't change everything, so you don't want to change anything. That's almost the result that it has sometimes. It kind of has a counterproductive effect. It's like, well, I can't do everything, so I just won't do anything. At least it does for me. So I just have to, it's like, I got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
than worrying about if my dishwasher pod's going to kill me or, clog my pipes up. I don't want that to happen, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, there are definitely circumstances in our lives that put some of these things in perspective, for sure. And you are dealing with a lot more.
Yeah. And I know there are a lot of listeners out there that are too. So that's why I just wanted to say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this was funny. And there are times when I can look at this in a fun way. You know what I mean? And laugh.
Right. Right.
That's the way I have to deal with it.
I don't think that too much information is going away. I think it's probably only going to continue to ramp up because these headlines sell. They get clicks. They get, advertising revenue. The scarier they can make it. I like the fact that in having this discussion, we can kind of check each other, because I think sometimes if you're talking with your friends and you bring up one of these things, and then they may have some good counter arguments, or that they don't seem concerned. Like if you're just in your own head watching these, you seriously could go down a deep, dark hole. But I think if you are able to talk to other people and kind of get their perspective and be doing other things, like we can be spending too much time on this stuff, So yeah, I mean, if there's a change that you could make and it would be relatively easy, well, then I don't really see any harm in making it. But if it's a change that would cause a whole revamp and inconvenience and a lot of stress and a lot of money, and you don't even know for sure that it makes a difference, well,
That's
then
the key.
I usually, draw the line there.
That's the key is I don't even know that I believe what they're saying. And so it's like, why am I going to readjust my life over something that I really kind of doubt is true? And they even have a term called doom scrolling. Like when you're uncertain about something and you go to research it, you kind of hope it's going to relieve that. And yet on the internet, it never ends. Like if you went down the rabbit hole, like it would seriously never end.
Right.
You'd never get to the bottom. It would just be one more thing after the other. So that's what I think is so detrimental is you're probably never going to find the answer. You're just going to have to trust in what you're doing, like what's best for me right now.
Right. Well, listeners, we hope that you've enjoyed this episode. I'm sure there's some TMI that you guys have come across in the world. If you want to share any of that with us, you can find us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast, or you can email us at midlifematterspodcast@gmail.com. But before we go, we want to do I'm a Fan. All right, Mindy, what are you a fan of this week?
I'm a fan of a free Kindle book that I just read. The author is Kate Quinn, and the name of the book was The Rose Code. And we have all talked about how we loved World War II books. And so this is based on women that worked at Bletchley Park, breaking codes, breaking the enigma. And it was lighthearted, but it's based on historical fact, though it's fiction. And I just thought she did a great job in this book. I love reading about that time period, and this was an enjoyable free Kindle read.
Yeah, I read it too, Mindy. I was impressed at how well researched it was.
Yes.
Good. People and
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've read some of her books. I don't know if I've read that one, but I do know that she has several books out there. So if you like that one, there will probably be other ones for you to read also. Julie, what are you a fan of this week?
Well, what I'm a fan of just kind of made me laugh because I thought, I bet there's something out there that says this isn't safe. But I just updated my iPhone. I was about 5 or 6 series back. I think I had an 11. So I got the 15 and it has the MagSafe, like the case. You can charge it just by setting your phone down on the charger. Yeah. But the case also allows you to put things on the back. Like I've always had my wallet stuck on the back of my phone case. It sticks with an adhesive, but I have the MagSafe wallet. So it stays on with a magnet, but I like it because I can take it off as well.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
And it has a little flap to keep my credit cards in. So I have my driver's license and credit cards and health card in there.
Okay.
Because I hardly carry a purse. I just like it all right there. Yeah. But, it's a magnet. It's in my pocket.
We're not even going to Google that, Julie.
No. It's fabulous.
Yes.
Right? Fabulous. You're saving your joints from carrying that heavy purse on your shoulder.
Yeah.
All right. I am also a fan of a book, Mindy. It's called Here One Moment by Leanne Moriarty. And I think this is her newest. And for some reason, I was one of the first few people when the library finally got it that got a copy. So I was so excited. But it's called Here One Moment. And it says, if you knew your future, would you try to fight fate? And it's basically this whole plane full of people. And it says, on an ordinary short domestic flight, something extraordinary happens. People learn how and when they're going to die. For some, their death is far in the future, age 103, and they laugh. But for 6 passengers, their predicted deaths are not far away at all.
Oh, my.
And it was really interesting. You really become invested in these 6 or so people, like what is going to happen to them. And I don't really want to give it away, but Leanne Moriarty is so talented in that she will have characters all over the place. And at the end, they'll all tie together. And she always does it not in a cliche, cheesy way. It's like, oh, that's interesting. So I always like her books. So Here One Moment is her latest one, and I recommend it.
Ooh, that sounds awesome.
I know I've read something else by her. What?
The Husband's Secret. We read that in book club, and that was also
okay.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Mindy and Julie, I've enjoyed talking with you this week. I've enjoyed laughing with you, and I'm sure there's going to be more TMI for us to discuss in the future.
Absolutely.
We'll talk to you next week.
All right. Sounds great. Bye.
We're so happy you joined us today. You can find the show notes for this episode at midlifematterspodcast.com. Also, please tell a friend about the show and help them hit the free subscribe button on their favorite podcast app. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast. That's where we post pictures and stories about all the things we talk about in each episode. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.